Most men believe respect can be earned by doing more, working harder, giving more attention, being more available, explaining themselves again and again, hoping that eventually she will finally understand their value. But that is where many men go wrong. Respect does not grow from over-explaining yourself. It does not come from chasing approval. And it certainly does not come from trying to convince someone to treat you better. The moment you start begging for basic respect, you have already shifted the balance, because real respect is never negotiated. It is built through how you carry yourself, what you tolerate, and the standards you refuse to compromise. And when respect disappears from a relationship, the damage goes far beyond arguments or cold behavior. Something deeper begins to break. You start second-guessing yourself. You become more cautious with your words. You overthink simple interactions. You feel like you are constantly trying to avoid conflict while slowly abandoning pieces of yourself just to keep the peace. At that point, the relationship no longer feels like a partnership. It starts feeling like a prison, a place where your confidence weakens, your identity blurs, and your peace slowly disappears. This is how many men lose themselves without even realizing it. Not through one major betrayal, but through years of tolerating small forms of disrespect that slowly chip away at their self-worth. And if you don't address it correctly, you can waste years trying to win back admiration from someone who has already stopped seeing your value. That is why today's conversation is important. This is not about manipulation. This is not about playing games. And this is definitely not about using toxic tactics to gain control. This is about rebuilding the kind of character that naturally commands respect, the kind of presence that changes the energy in every relationship. Today, I'm going to show you 4 powerful ways to respond when respect begins to disappear. These principles will either help restore balance in your relationship or give you the clarity and strength to walk away from something that is no longer healthy for you. Because not every relationship is meant to be saved, but every man should know how to protect his dignity. So if you're tired of being treated like an afterthought, if you're done lowering your standards just to keep someone around, and if you're ready to become the standard instead of chasing validation, then stay with me. Let's begin. The common mistake. When a woman disrespects you, your first instinct is usually emotional. Maybe she speaks to you with unnecessary attitude. Maybe she mocks your opinion. Maybe she dismisses a boundary you clearly communicated. And instantly, something inside you reacts. You want to correct her, defend yourself, raise your voice, prove your point, make her understand why what she did was wrong. This reaction feels natural, but in many cases it is exactly what weakens your position. Why? Because the moment someone can easily pull an emotional reaction out of you, they gain influence over your internal state. Your mood shifts, your peace disappears, your focus breaks, and now, instead of leading yourself, you are emotionally reacting to external behavior. This is where many men lose their power, not because they were disrespected, but because they surrendered control over themselves. A man who lacks emotional discipline becomes predictable, easy to trigger, easy to destabilize, easy to control. And respect rarely grows in environments where one person is constantly emotionally reactive. The shift: respond, don't react. The first principle in handling disrespect is emotional detachment. This does not mean becoming cold, cruel, or emotionally unavailable. It means refusing to let disrespect pull you out of character. When tension rises, your job is not to win the moment. Your job is to maintain your center. Sometimes the strongest response is not immediate correction. It is calm observation. It is choosing not to engage in a heated exchange that leads nowhere. It is understanding that not every comment deserves your emotional energy. Instead of escalating, slow down. Pause. Observe what is happening. Ask yourself, is this a moment that deserves a conversation? Or is this simply revealing something important about the relationship? That pause changes everything, because now, instead of reacting impulsively, you are choosing your response from a place of control. And control is power. Sometimes, when disrespect becomes a repeated pattern, Conversation alone is not enough. This is where many men make another mistake. They keep rewarding poor behavior with unlimited access, unlimited attention, unlimited time, unlimited emotional energy. Even while feeling deeply disrespected, this creates imbalance. Your attention is valuable, your presence is valuable, and your energy should not be endlessly available to people who repeatedly disregard your standards. So what do? You create healthy distance, not as punishment, not as revenge, but as clarity. You become less available to chaos, less willing to entertain unhealthy patterns, less emotionally invested in proving your worth to someone who should already recognize it. This distance communicates something powerful. My peace is more important than unnecessary conflict. And that message is often louder than any argument. A man who can remain composed under pressure becomes difficult to destabilize, and a man who cannot be easily destabilized becomes difficult to manipulate. Calmness is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Self-control is not passivity. It is discipline. It is strength. It is the ability to protect your peace without losing your character. Anyone can explode. Anyone can argue. Anyone can become reactive. But very few people can stay grounded when provoked. That is what separates emotional maturity from emotional dependence. And often the strongest message you can send is simple. I will not abandon my peace just to participate in dysfunction. That is where respect begins. Not with louder words, but with stronger self-control. Have you ever realized that reacting emotionally made a bad situation worse? Let me know in the comments. Do you think silence is strength or weakness? Disrespect. Start. Small. Disrespect rarely begins with something serious. It usually starts with small things. A dismissive tone, a sarcastic comment, a joke at your expense, a boundary being casually ignored. Many men overlook these moments because they want to avoid conflict, so they tolerate it once, twice, again and again. And over time, they unknowingly teach people what they are willing to accept. This is the truth. If you don't define your standards, people will test your limits. That is why boundaries matter, not to control others, but to protect your peace, dignity, and self-respect. Most men make the mistake of over-explaining. Why do you always talk to me like that? That hurts my feelings. This often sounds like a request for respect. Instead, be clear and direct. Say, I don't accept being spoken to that way. Or, that was disrespectful. I'm ending this conversation. Then follow through. Leave the room. End the conversation. Create space. No arguing. No long explanations. Just action. Because boundaries are not built by words alone. They are built by what you consistently enforce. A boundary without action is just a suggestion. People learn how to treat you by what you tolerate. The moment you stop tolerating disrespect, the dynamic begins to change. Respect starts when your standards become visible. What boundary do you think most men fail to enforce in relationships? When disrespect becomes a pattern, one reason disrespect continues is because there are no real consequences. If someone believes they can repeatedly cross your boundaries and still have full access to your time, attention, and energy, there is little reason for their behavior to change. This is how many men become taken for granted. Not because they care too much, but because they remain available no matter how they are treated. Over time, their presence becomes expected, not valued. Walking away is not a threat. It is not emotional manipulation. It is not a tactic to create fear. It is a personal decision, a moment where you recognize that protecting your peace matters more than maintaining a relationship that constantly drains you. When disrespect becomes a repeated pattern and honest communication changes nothing, distance may become necessary. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You stop forcing what no longer feels healthy. You stop over-investing, and you begin putting your focus back on your own life, goals, and emotional well-being. A man must never become so afraid of losing someone that he becomes willing to lose himself. Sometimes the strongest decision is accepting what a relationship has become and choosing not to remain in what consistently damages your peace. If respect cannot exist, attachment alone is never enough, because being alone with self-respect is far better than staying connected while losing your dignity. Do you think walking away is weakness or strength when respect is gone? Shift your focus. The final way to handle a lack of respect is simple. Stop making the relationship the center of your life. Many men become consumed by a woman's behavior. They overanalyze every message, every mood shift, every argument, and without realizing it, their emotional state becomes dependent on how they are being treated. This is where power is lost. The moment your happiness depends entirely on someone else's behavior, you give away too much control. So the shift begins here. Stop obsessing over fixing the relationship and start rebuilding yourself. Redirect your energy toward your own growth. Train your body, strengthen your mind, improve your finances, develop meaningful skills, become more disciplined, more focused, and more purposeful, not to impress anyone, not to trigger jealousy, but because your life should be bigger than any single relationship. A man with purpose is harder to destabilize. He has direction, he has standards, he has something meaningful to protect, and when your life is built on purpose, you naturally become less tolerant of what drains your peace. Respect is often a reflection of how seriously you take your own life. A man who is growing, disciplined, and moving with direction naturally commands a different kind of energy, not because he demands attention, but because he is not dependent on it. When your focus returns to your own mission, everything changes. You stop chasing validation, you stop over-explaining your worth, and you begin carrying yourself like a man who already knows his value. That is where real confidence begins. What area of your life are you currently focused on improving the most? A man who truly respects himself does not wait for external validation to recognize his worth. The power to change your life, protect your standards, and build the man you want to become has always been within your control. The only question is whether you are willing to act on it. Stay focused on the mission, subscribe for more timeless wisdom, and I'll see you in the next video.